Man, oh man, when Sony announced that they were going to start doing Nintendo Direct style of events with State of Play, a showcase of what was to come on PlayStation platforms, from PlayStation 4 announcements, PlayStation VR announcements, gameplay, demos, updates, all that good stuff, I got very excited. I thought this would be a great way to keep gamers engaged to the PlayStation brand, and now it's very important to do that because it has already been confirmed that PlayStation is not going to be a part of E3, so how do you keep the gamer engaged? Well, State of Play was a great idea, and we've seen it pay dividends to Nintendo with Nintendo Direct. Whenever a Nintendo Direct is announced, gamers get very, very excited, and it just inherently gives Nintendo platforms a lot of shine, namely the Nintendo Switch, and I thought State of Play could offer something very, very similar. And the debut episode was held yesterday, and I have to say that I am very disappointed, and I think gamers would agree with me. A debut episode for something like this, you really needed to knock it out of the park. Did you need to announce a PlayStation 5 or something like that? No, but we needed some compelling announcements, some new games to get us really excited, and there were definitely some interesting announcements. However, this is not how you want to kick off something like State of Play. I point you to the fact that the PlayStation YouTube channel uploaded the entirety of State of Play. It was only around 19 minutes and 49 seconds. It was under 20 minutes long, so you can already see that it wasn't very lengthy, so the announcements had to be a little bit limited. But what they showed did not impress PlayStation owners, as that video currently has 683 likes and over 2,000 dislikes. That number will probably fluctuate by the time you guys are watching this video. But yeah, gamers weren't very impressed. You go on Reddit, you go on Twitter, other social media platforms, and you can just see gamers were very, very disappointed at what was shown. I think a big reason for this is because a lot of what was shown was a lot of VR content, which I'm all for. I love the PlayStation VR. I think it's a very compelling platform, and it's great to see that Sony has stayed committed to it. However, know your audience for State of Play. Know who actually has PlayStation VR, and know that this showcase was inherently going to attract more of a casual consumer to see what this was all going to be about, especially with the debut episode. So centering it around a lot of VR content probably wasn't the right way to go. It even opened up with a VR game, and it was kind of a bait and switch because we saw Marvel's Iron Man, and that got us very excited. I started thinking about what just happened with Marvel's Spider-Man, and I thought, man, are we getting an Iron Man game too? And then it transitioned into a VR game that just seemed like an on-rail shooter, and I was like, man, this is how you want to do Iron Man on the PlayStation 4? Iron Man is an IP with so much potential, and I think that just set the tone really, really poorly. The first game you see as a part of this new showcase is Marvel's Iron Man VR. Man, I just don't know who was planning that. I think it would have been a lot more effective if you kicked it off with what they showed of Days Gone, and we'll get to that in a little bit because I think what we saw of Days Gone was rather good, but that's a game we've seen so much about. Everybody knows that that game's coming out in April, and we've seen so much gameplay of Days Gone, so if you want to get people excited about PlayStation as a brand, you kick it off with an exclusive like that, but don't make that one of your pillar things that you're showcasing towards the end. I think we just expected more, but still, to kick it off with Marvel's Iron Man and to showcase that it was a VR title, yes, it looks okay, but it's something that right from the get-go disappointed a lot of gamers, and that's how you kicked off the showcase. After that, we saw some content for Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, and that's fine. If you want to showcase a game like that as filler content, it's kind of a shame that I'm calling Crash Team Racing filler content. However, it's just content for a game that's already announced and content for a game that at the end of the day is a remake. Love me some Crash, and there's definitely an audience for Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, but that's what it is. It's not like gamers were gonna get super excited for this announcement. But whatever, it's fine to showcase a game like that. The one announcement that really got me excited, we know that No Man's Sky has been an incredible game in terms of how it's evolved since 2016. It started off as a pretty big train wreck, but after updates, after No Man's Sky Next, and now this huge update coming, it has gone on to become a substantially better experience, and now it's getting full PlayStation VR support this summer. This is something I've been wanting for a very long time, and if we want to introduce PlayStation VR content, No Man's Sky is a game that so many have clamored to get VR support, and now that'll be happening sometime this summer. And I'm so shocked that Hello Games has continued to update this game for free. They have continued to release update after update, and now a PlayStation VR update, and all of that content has been free. Now, inherently, I think that does entice gamers to actually go and buy the game, so they are making residual revenue that way, but they could have also just released each update as paid expansions. I don't think that would have been received all too well, but great to see what Hello Games has done with No Man's Sky, and for me, this was the highlight of the entire showcase. That's not saying much to a lot of you guys since it is No Man's Sky, it is a game from 2016, but I've been really interested in how this game has evolved over the last few years, and getting PlayStation VR support is another gigantic step for No Man's Sky and the evolution that that game has gone through over the last few years. We did get the announcement of a brand new PlayStation 4 exclusive exclusive in Ready Set Heroes, a fast-paced twist on dungeon crawling. Ready Set Heroes taps into classic couch multiplayer action featuring fast-paced dungeon crawling, team up with a friend and battle through a random dungeon filled with monsters and traps, collect tons of loots to power up your character, and fight in a winner-take-all arena brawl. This looks to be a pretty interesting game, and again, a game that acts pretty well as more filler content. I think using the word filler content is really downplaying some of these games, and I'm kind of ashamed that I'm saying that. However, for the masses that are watching a stream like this and wanting to see big game announcements, a game like this isn't going to resonate with them, but this is a game that I personally will definitely be keeping my eyes on, and I think as far as a local co-op dungeon crawler goes, it could be a lot of fun. And Ready Set Heroes is set to be released sometime in 2019. Then, right after that, the PlayStation VR wave continued to go on. We had the PlayStation VR blockbuster Blood and Truth, and we got a release date for that. That is launching on May 28th, and that's coming directly from London studio. Blood and Truth is an exclusive PlayStation VR title, and it has you star in your own explosive action movie blockbuster with a PlayStation VR exclusive shooter. Battle through the crime-ridden London underworld as elite soldier Ryan Marks in your deadliest mission yet to save your family from a ruthless criminal empire. Take out your targets with breathless, over-the-top epic gunplay as you drive, parachute, and rappel across the city amidst exciting set pieces. A pretty big-budget VR title. As far as big-budget VR titles go, we don't see a lot of games like this, so inherently I'm a little bit interested in it. Another game to add to the depth of the VR catalog. It is coming May 28th, so it's not even that far away. But again, for the masses that are watching something like this, Blood and Truth isn't a game that's going to resonate with them at an extreme level. For those that have PlayStation VR, yeah, it's pretty exciting. But I think the PlayStation VR audience is a little bit smaller than what this showcase really represented. It was a lot of VR content, and that's cool for me. But just objectively speaking, from the casual PlayStation consumer, it's still a pretty hefty investment. And while I like the VR announcements, I think it would have been more effective if you showcased all of the game in one smaller video package, and that's what they kind of did right after Blood and Truth. So they announced Iron Man VR, then they showed off Blood and Truth as far as the VR component goes, and then they also had a PlayStation VR, the next wave of games coming in spring and summer 2019. I think that all should have just been coupled together. And for those that are super into VR, you could just look into each game on your own, and if you're super into VR, you made a hefty investment on it, you're gonna find these games one way or another. State of Play did attract a more casual consumer, and I think just focusing in so much on VR was a little bit disappointing to a lot of people watching at home. But outside of that, there were some other cool announcements. I point to Observation, and this was a game that really got my attention. Observation is coming from Devolver Digital, and it's a sci-fi thriller that has you uncover what happened to Dr. Emma Fisher and the crew of her mission through the lens of the station's artificial intelligence, Sam. Players assume the role of Sam by operating the station's control systems, cameras, and tools to assist Emma in discovering what is happening to the station, the vanished crew, and Sam himself. Reminds me a lot of a game like Tacoma, a lot of mystery here. A lot of suspense. I love a good sci-fi setting, and Observation definitely seems to nail that. Next up, we got yet another VR announcement. Five Nights at Freddy's VR. Help Wanted is coming to PlayStation VR. Five Nights at Freddy is a pretty iconic IP at this point, but yet another VR game. Again, I just thought it would be more effective to couple all of those at once and just show all of the VR stuff one after another. Why were they segmented out like this? Maybe if you did want to show gameplay of each specific title, have a segue saying, hey, we're showing the VR games now, instead of segmenting it out and disappointing some gamers after one announcement was made and then we transition back into VR. There are the people that are into VR and there are the people that are not, and I think at this point you're kind of sold on it one way or another. But hey, a montage video showcasing the best of what's to come on VR, that's a great way to sell you on it. And Sony has been like the king of montage videos, so I don't know why they just didn't do that, but let's move on. The next game is one that I am very excited for. We got the story trailer for Concrete Genie. This is one of the PlayStation 4 exclusives that's going really under the radar. It's coming from Pixel Opus, and it's going under the radar from me as well. I've barely talked about this game, and shame on me for not giving this game the attention it deserves. It's got an awesome art style. The presentation is stellar, and Concrete Genie is a game about a bullied teenager named Ash who escapes his troubles by painting spectacular living landscapes and mischievous creatures throughout his abandoned hometown of Denska. As he masters this magical paint, he discovers it can purify Denska's polluted walls. Can Ash overcome the bullies and paint his hometown back to life? This is a game that when it was announced, I got really interested in it, but then the promotion kind of subsided for it, but now that it's been brought back to my attention, the anticipation for this game has really been reignited, and I'm excited to see more of Concrete Genie. One of the highlights for me coming out of this showcase, but again, at a mainstream level, it's really not going to resonate heavy, but I do think when the game is released, if it's received well, it could be one of the surprising hits of 2019. Right after that, we got the Days Gone inside the new story trailer, and look, I'm really excited for Days Gone. I think that's a PlayStation 4 exclusive that could end up being one of the best PS4 exclusives this generation. I do not think that's hyperbole. However, we have seen so much out of Days Gone. We have gotten so much gameplay, and you know that this game is going to get a gigantic promotional push come PAX East. I don't think we needed to see this game yet again as a part of the State of Play showcase. I'm interested in it, but a very quick and brief trailer would have sufficed, and this is something that if you were going to show it, I think it really should have kicked off the show rather than being saved towards the end where gamers are generally expecting the heavy hitters. But hey, I do think Days Gone is going to be one of those games that ends up delivering, and there is a lot of excitement built up for the game, so I don't think it's too much of an issue. I just would have presented this content a little bit differently, but that's my opinion. And lastly, with a debut episode like this of State of Play, considering that it is going to be a new series, you thought they would have concluded it with a bang, maybe some sort of surprise announcement, some sort of new exclusive. I was seeing a lot of speculation on the possibilities of a Demon's Souls remaster being the major announcement coming out of this, and they just concluded it with Mortal Kombat 11, showcasing some characters that are going to be in that game. Look, there's a lot of excitement for Mortal Kombat 11, but as the conclusion to State of Play, really, that's the best that they had? Mortal Kombat 11, a multi-platform game? Yeah, that was just a little bit of a disappointment. When you see Nintendo holding a Nintendo Direct event, it's a lot of announcements of exclusive titles, new IPs, games like that. Mortal Kombat 11, we've seen a lot of this game as well. The release isn't that far off. A game that's pretty much finished at this point, and that's not really going to compel gamers in getting excited about the PlayStation brand, and that was really what was needed to be done coming out of State of Play, and I think Sony completely fumbled that, so that was disappointing. I don't want to put a lot of flack on Mortal Kombat 11 because I'm sure the game's going to be great for fighting fans. However, for the casual PlayStation consumer, I don't think that was the right way to conclude State of Play, and I think the majority of you guys would agree with me on that. If they wanted to put this somewhere in the middle, fine, but as the conclusion, not a good idea. And that's gonna conclude the wrap-up of State of Play. Gamers hated it, and I'm kind of on board in thinking that it was a gigantic disappointment. Really, the highlights to me were the No Man's Sky VR announcement. Concrete Genie looks great. Days Gone is going to be really good, but I've seen enough of that game. A lot of the other content looked okay, but nothing really stand out to me, especially games like Marvel's Iron Man VR. That was just a little bit of a head-scratcher to me in terms of a promotional standpoint. But definitely let me know what you guys think. Do you think I'm being too harsh on it? Are you in disagreement and thinking State of Play was really good? Or are you in agreement with me thinking that it was a little bit of a disappointment? I think the majority of gamers are in that camp, especially when you see what's being said on social media, when you see the like to dislikes. It seems like most of you thought it was a little bit of a disappointment, but sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.